Zero tolerance and direct care core competency. These are the two trainings. Up to this point, these other trainings can be received a number of different ways. Some organizations train their own staff. Some people are actually doing some self-taught types of trainings where you're going through these different sections and getting these trainings in different places, either online or through other organizations. However, zero tolerance and core competency must be completed in a certain fashion. There's only two ways really. Direct care core competency and zero tolerance can be received via Tallahassee Community College. And keep in mind that when you're looking at it on Tallahassee Community College, there's two modules. It's the Intro to Developmental Disabilities and Health and Safety. Those two combined equals the direct care core competency. The other way to take that training is face-to-face with a trained trainer, and that trainer can be either a trained trainer from APD or it can be a trained trainer from an outside organization. There are a number of people around the state that have gone through the train the trainer and are able to train you in the direct care core competency. What's important to mention when you take those courses face-to-face with the trainer is that that trainer is supposed to provide you with not only a certificate of participation with your name on it, they're also supposed to provide you with a copy of their Train the Trainer certificate so that you know and you can demonstrate that you got that training from a trainer that was certified to provide that training. Same thing goes for zero tolerance with the Train the Trainer. Tallahassee Community College, we're looking for the unofficial transcript. And I have a couple of handouts that will be posted with this when we get everything done that will demonstrate to you what the Train the Trainer certificate looks like. That there is also a CD that came out in late '09 that two of the ARCs received. So there is another CD, and this is for direct care core competency. And there's a specific certificate type that must accompany that as well. So it never is really straightforward. There's just always a number of different ways, but those are the main ways that you can get those trainings. Back to the Tallahassee Community College unofficial transcript. What we're looking for on there, again, is all three of those. If you take all three, zero tolerance and the two core comp pieces via Tallahassee Community College, we're going to be looking for all three of those modules on there. We're also going to be looking to see what the score was. Your score is either going to be S for satisfactory, U for unsatisfactory, or I for incomplete or in process. I'm not real sure. I think it means different things. We have to have an S on there in order for it to be acceptable. I think that covers direct care core competency and zero tolerance. Zero tolerance does need to be done as a pre-service activity. It's supposed to be done prior to the person even working with individuals. It may be done as part of orientation or however, as an organization, you choose to do that. Direct care core competency, you have up to 90 days to have that person take that training. The other trainings on here, on the right-hand side, these are other trainings that you may or may not have to take depending on the services that you render. Medication administration and validation, if you are going to render medication to anyone or supervise the self-administration of medication, you must take the medication administration training via that has been developed via the 65G-7. You have to get the training from a nurse that has an APD approved curriculum. That's the only way that you can get that training. The validation piece of it doesn't have to be done by that same nurse that does the training, but it does have to be done by a nurse or a physician or someone otherwise licensed to administer medications in the state of Florida. The medication training, a lot of providers have gotten the training anticipating that individuals you serve will eventually, maybe at any time, have to take medication. So they've gone ahead and taken the training anticipating that, and so that they're ready to go whenever something happens. Mary has to start taking a medication. I'm going to be ready to go ahead and get validated on that, because you can only be validated with the individuals that you're serving on the medications that they're taking. So you can't just go out and have a friend of yours sit there and take medications or pretend to administer the different types of medications, whether it be oral or eye drops. CPR, HIV, AIDS, infection control. Those are the types of things. HIV and infection control is a one-time training at this point. That's all we're looking for. CPR and CPR is one that is where it's expected to be current, be kept current. And a number of services, almost all of them, require CPR and HIV. I think the only ones, one of the ones that doesn't is support coordination, behavior analysis, maybe one or two others, but for the, yes.
I'm sorry, you might have covered this, but what if my staff only administer medication every once in a while? Do they still need validation?
Absolutely. The question was, what if my staff only administer medication every once in a while? Do they still need validation? They need not only the validation, but they also need the training. Now, back to that, glad you reminded me. When you have taken the training and you're waiting for somebody to take medication so you can be validated, if that goes beyond a year's time, you have to retake the training and start the process all over again. Once you become validated, as long as you remain validated, that means it has to be validated, you have to be revalidated on an annual basis. You do not have to take the training again. Behavior assistant, supported living, supported employment, some of these others are just the pre-service and the requirements again to provide those services. Adult day training, supported living, supported employment coaching. They have to have 8 hours on an annual ongoing basis of training that's specific to the individuals that they serve and specific to the service that they serve. So you want to make sure that if you're providing supported living, you may take an in-service that has something to do with affordable housing. It could be, again, something related to diabetes if the individuals that you serve are, it's very similar to needs and characteristics. That's actually here to talk about it. The supported living, supported employment, again, needs to be something that's geared towards employment. It may be training on how to fill out applications or how to better support individuals in accessing their job. Support coordination has 34 hours of statewide training, and then also 26 hours of very specific training. That's what they have to have before they even become a support coordinator, a fully authorized support coordinator. The 24 hours annually thereafter, again, is training that we're looking for that's specific to the individual. And training can come from any source that's relevant. You can go online and do some searches through the USF oftentimes has a lot of different types of training, the American Heart Association. There's trainings going on all the time, many of which are free. It's just we don't want to get into the habit of expecting that APD is going to be able to provide us all of the training that we need, because they don't have the resources to do that, nor should we rely on them for that. We want to make sure that people are going and getting information in other places. HIPAA is a one-time thing. However, I will tell you that every year, beginning of the year, the Department of Children and Families, and I'm sure you get emails from your local area office that provide you with a link to a HIPAA training that you can go to. You can log in. It takes a very short period of time. It is free, and you get a certificate and you're done. I would just encourage you as a best practice to just go ahead and do that on an annual basis. But we're looking for it in terms of at least one time. Background screening. What do I need to pass? There's been a lot of changes in background screening over this past year. There's some things that changed early May, then some major changes that occurred August 1st, 2010. Essentially, the requirements for initial screening have not changed. The initial screening, we're looking to see that you've had an affidavit of good moral character, the local law review, and the local law check needs to be done in the county of residence. So if I live in Hillsborough County, but I'm working for an agency in Pinellas County, my background screening needs to have been obtained from Hillsborough County, not Pinellas County. Just because I'm working over there, it doesn't matter. It's where the person lives. If they have not lived within that county for at least 6 months, you want to then try to secure a local law from the county where they moved from. And that could be another state, quite honestly. Sometimes it is, but that's what we would be looking for, because it's not going to do you a whole lot of good to pull a background screening on an individual in their local area if they've only lived there a couple months. I mean, it could. If it does show something, that might mean you might not want to hire them. But anyway, beyond that, we're looking for the FDLE clearance and the FBI clearance. Sometimes those are one and the same, sometimes they're two separate. It depends on when you were hired. There's a whole history of different ways that those clearance letters may look. So basically, and then we'll be looking for your 5-year rescreening. This is where the major change came into effect as of August 1st of this year. As of August 1st, anybody that's hired, actually anybody that you're looking to hire, cannot be even hired until they have been fully screened and you've gotten the results back to say that they're qualified, that there are no disqualifying offenses. Before, you were allowed as a provider to hire somebody, initiate the screening, and allow them to work while supervised for up to 90 days. You can no longer do that. The other major change is that a 5-year rescreening now, which used to be only an FDLE search or review every 5 years, has now changed to a complete rescreening. So if you're due for a 5-year rescreening now, you're going to sign a new affidavit, you're going to do a new local, you're going to do a new FBI and FDLE, and really now with LiveScan, the FBI and FDLE is now the same. Now it's actually to a point where I think that it might actually be consistent, or more consistent statewide, so that the 3 results we'd be looking for, the FBI and FDLE would be 1. That would come usually in either a letter from DCF that uses the term final results, or it may be an ACA result that says eligible. So, to recap the background screening, you need to have a signed notarized affidavit of good moral character, proof of local background screening, and your FDLE and your FBI. And I know there's a lot of providers who've been around for a while, and I know one of the things that happens is that sometimes papers get misplaced, you lose things, you move offices. It's important, very important, to try to maintain this documentation as much as possible, because even if you've had 3 5-year rescreenings and we're coming out, we still need to see that 15 years ago you had that original FBI, because if all you can show us are the 5-year rescreenings, we don't know that you've ever been screened through the FBI. So that's why that's a critical piece of information to have. The new affidavit of good moral character, and it has an 8/1/2010 date at the bottom of it, if you're wondering if you have the right one when you're looking for them, has new disqualifying offenses on them. They're to the extent where some people, in fact, know that when they come up for their rescreening, they're going to have some of those disqualifying offenses on their record.